Hello, friends. This is the Connected Approach Podcast, the world's number one podcast for connected leaders. I'm Chris Curtin.
And I'm Amanda White. Welcome today to your warm embrace. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing okay, Amanda. I know you're in warmer environs than
Yes.
I am. So I know you're relaxing a little bit this week in some warmer weather. And thinking about your warmer weather, I'm thinking about my hot seat
Uh-huh.
because
Oh, that sounds interesting.
I want to talk about fun with failure.
Fun with failure. I love it. So fun with failure. What brings that topic to mind for you today?
Yeah, because I've had or am like right in the midst of a significant failure. So it
Well,
wasn't
it's
like
good
I
that we
was,
can laugh about it. So that's the first thing. You talk about fun with failure. It's like, we're at a point that we can laugh and dig into this a little bit. So, um, tell me more.
well, I think there's this deal that I've been working on that, you've known about and been a part of that I think is just going to stop or fall apart.
Hmm.
And maybe I shouldn't use the word fall apart. I just think that it's coming to a natural point where I'm no longer going to pursue it,
Yeah.
and and it feels awful. It feels awful to stop for all
Yeah.
the right reasons, but to not be able to proceed with the fruition of this wonderful venture.
Which in your mind, then you're feeling as though it's a failure? Is that the
Yeah,
label you're putting on it?
yeah, failure to pursue or failure to complete the transaction,
Hmm.
and then what comes after that. um,
Yeah. What does come after that? So, where did the fun come in?
well, I was hoping I was hoping you were bringing the fun,
Oh,
or
okay.
that
Well, that's
we were
good
going to
because I
somehow.
mean, this is a really good topic when we talk about things that we feel are on our path and all of a sudden maybe come to a screeching halt, which then really does feel like a whole lot of other words that I probably shouldn't use, but we'll put the label of failure on it. Um, which I think that's where we need to dig into to find the fun because is that the right label?
2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, I would have said yes, and even quickly pivoting to all the, and it's trite and it sounds cliche, but all the things that I've learned
Yeah,
in what's really been kind of a 3 week sprint to try to put this deal together has really been amazing for my own growth, for my
yeah.
own learning, for my own relationships, partnerships, an old topic, but courage and bravery, probably both.
Yeah, yeah,
And what tools this now equips me with. Some of them are fungible tools, like things I've actually learned how to do now.
yeah,
Others are tools of relying on wonderful people that have already helped me through this journey and to this point, and their willingness to be an asset and a caring partner in all of this. Some people who are trained professionals, others who are my friends and family and other people that I know personally. So it's a fun alliteration for the podcast title, Fun with Failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does not, or I'm trying not to allow it to be that burdensome weight on my shoulders of failure,
Yeah.
particularly when my stickler, my perfectionist, my judge is like trying to beat down the door of my constructive description of what I just shared with you, like
Yeah.
the constructive components of all I've learned, which has really, and consumed me for the past 3 weeks. And when I say consumed, maybe not 20 hours every day, but pretty darn close. And not just 20
Yeah.
hours of like, well, let me go, walk the dog and really think about this. I'm talking about like 20 hours head down, driving to educate myself and to make
Yeah.
connections and to try to work through all of this to make this important thing happen. And so um, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
just do is not allow those saboteurs or judge vibe, because
Right.
it we've walked this path before. It does no good,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
probably is unnecessary. Oh, by the way,
unnecessary to walk the path, you mean, or to unnecessary for what?
unnecessary to beat myself up
Yeah.
for the
Well,
experience.
what good does that do, right? We talk about like what's helpful and what's not helpful. Is that helpful in any way?
No, but even 30 seconds ago, I said probably. So it's still on me. It's still on me
Right.
where I
Right.
think that
So what is, because you said, 2 years ago you would be all over yourself and you would just probably, I don't know if it would be for a day, for weeks, for months, that you would just, kind of allow that soundtrack to be like, what a failure. Like you this, you that, right? And you have already in a short, I can tell, already in a short amount of time, at least got yourself your mindset to a point where you're able to say, the topic for today is going to be fun with failure. You may not be completely bought into that or know where the fun comes from, but you're, as we talk about, like the things that used to hijack us for long periods of time because of those saboteurs coming in and just being like, who do you think you are? Then we're already kind of through it. And maybe we're not totally through it, but even in the last like little bit, you were able to go from probably to, yeah. So what is out there in like the future that's helping to pull you through to see the light versus hang out in the muck? I mean, you talked about some of it already, right? You're already going into all the learnings, the relationships, the connections, the growth and just like, all of what you've poured yourself into. But what else is that thing that light that's pulling you through?
I'll answer that in two ways. One is, if we think about sort of light and darkness, is being absolutely resolved to not let the dark side take over,
Right.
which is blaming
Yeah.
myself, others, the circumstances,
Judgment.
because this is truly about, my life, my
Yeah.
decisions, and, my capabilities. Two, to not let my self-deprecating humor take hold. And
Yeah.
you and I have talked about this before in coaching sessions. What I would normally do in these circumstances is, in beating myself up about this, I would use myself as a punchline
Yeah.
to maybe lighten the mood for those around me ish.
Hmm.
And what it would then do is it would be the worst talk track to my psyche.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty funny. Sorry.
You are.
So the funnier it was, so the funnier it was to
Yeah.
those in that audience, the more they'd want to hear about it, and the more I'd retell this
Yeah.
story of self woe. That then everyone laughed for 5 minutes and went back to watching TV, and I would be saddled with that for the next 6 months, year, life.
Yeah.
And so even right now, as I'm thinking about how this is all going to be resolved, as I start to reach out to key stakeholders today and really start to wrap this up, that I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
No matter how entertaining it is for others or how potentially freeing it is for me to wrap this hard message
Hmm.
or challenge up in some humor. I'm already resolved to not do that. So
Yeah.
one is not going dark.
Yeah.
Two, to go to the light is, I would say, one, acknowledge it. This podcast is part of that. I mean,
Right.
you and I prepare
Huge.
so much. We do so much preparation for the podcast sessions. When you texted me and said, "What's today's topic?" I said, "Fun with failure." So
Uh-huh.
this is a part of that.
And fun not meaning making fun of yourself. That's it.
No,
Yeah. Right.
no,
Yeah.
the finding.
Fun in the journey is kind of what comes to mind for me, which is a little bit of an oxymoron because like the journey can be extremely painful.
Mm,
But you do have to kind of laugh about it because it's like, anytime I go through what I consider taking it to a new level, this experience, and I'll let you share because I'm sure this is kind of the path to the light. It's like, it's just taking you another level on the path. And it's
mm,
just being open to like what that is. But I'm sorry, say more on the what's pulling you, the
mm.
light.
Well, once again, I think it's like acknowledging and maybe trying to manifest that it's fun,
Yes.
or that this is
Or
a
switch the
part of.
wiring, right, of how you're thinking about it at least. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. And then secondly, an accounting of all I've learned, which I've already shared this morning
Right.
in this conversation about what I've learned, and it has been a ton about myself, about certain subjects, about other people, about relationships, about all of these things that have just been a turbo boost
Yes.
to my own brain power. The third is to acknowledge exactly where I am and exactly what's happening to all the people that I've been working with and that have been a part of this. Some of them have been, my family that have been along this journey with me, and then
Right.
others are ones who are willing to get involved, had gotten involved, had various roles. It's like acknowledging what we are and where we are, and making sure that I'm able to have some closure to that out of respect for
Yeah.
their engagement. And it's funny, my third element of all of this. So, first was to just manifest that there is some joy or fun in this.
Yes.
Second was to acknowledge the learning, and also acknowledge, if I can go back to element number two, that, as the kids say, it ain't that deep.
Yeah.
As much as I'm feeling all of this, there are people who committed themselves to this, that this is their jobs, or they kind of took a phone call from me and said, "Yeah, I'll kind of help you," or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm feeling this like I've asked everyone
Yeah.
to build a bridge over the Grand Canyon. I think to
Yeah.
some people they were like, "You want to know what? You invited me into a little bit of your fun. Cool. Talk to you later. Talk
Well,
to you never. Good luck."
even if I can share, like I'm hearing this for the first time. I'm hearing this live. I'm good.
Right.
Because
Which,
my whole thing is, and you know this, because we've had these conversations, we had some decisions, we had a path that we were on, and um, didn't didn't go our way, and we had done enough work. I had done enough work to kind of say, hey, if it is, we've done the preparation. That was what we talked about last week. We did the preparation, and what will be, will be. What is meant for you won't miss you. And when it doesn't go in this way that you think, and you're just kind of putting all this energy into that, that just means that this one thing was not the thing on the path that you're supposed to be on. And, some people might think like, okay, that's pretty Pollyanna or whatever, but it's like, well, again, is it helpful to just stay in the darkness and blame and judge and beat yourself up and call all these people and say, I'm so sorry? And it's like, it is, to your point, it ain't that deep. It only is as if you allow it to be, right? So, number three, what's your number three?
my number three, and this is probably the closeout to our session today, I am going to celebrate it.
Yes, which is where
My
the fun comes in.
Now, my celebration, I think, might be, something simple like, spending a
Sleep,
little less, yeah,
sleep. You haven't gotten a
spending
whole lot of sleep.
spending a little less than 20 hours on this per day, and having a nice walk today with my dog and my
Yeah,
wife, and just being able to
breathe.
appreciate breathe, and a little bit of the nicer weather that's coming around, but with a sense of celebration, because
Yeah,
I deserve it.
you do deserve it. You do. Because there's been a whole heck of a lot of learning in this.
Mm.
And I truly believe there's just something on the other side of this.
Well, I think the quote of our session today is what you just shared about 2 minutes ago, which is, what's meant for you won't miss you. I love that. So thank
Yes,
you.
yes, it is. Love it. Well, that was a fast session, but I think, like you said, it's not that deep. So I think that's as far as we go today.
Well, thank you, Amanda, for your coaching and your real time coaching for this session. This is exactly the coaching I needed, but also what our coaching is all about
Yeah,
with Connected Approach Partners. And as we try to craft topics for our conversations, you and I are committed to sharing in real time with people what coaching is. And this was a
yeah,
fantastic coaching session for me. So thank you.
yeah. And I would say too, we'd love to hear from our listeners. What are things that have you hung up? Our listeners hung up on things because I am pretty certain that we've experienced it and learned through it. So we welcome any sort of feedback on any of these topics and other topics that we can explore. So thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Amanda. As for our listeners, as Amanda said, we look forward to talking with you again soon. And please engage with us and let us know what you want us to talk about and questions you have. Until then, lead well, my friends.
And stay true to you. Bye bye, everybody.